Hi, this is Pietro Schito from Write Something Great, where you'll discover actionable techniques to become a professional screenwriter. Have you ever felt like your screenplay is a little all over the place, that it is lacking that sense of unity that we admire in the movies we love? Today, I want to give you a powerful tool, the idea of using setup and payoff. This will not only help you create a cohesive script, but also give you some unforgettable moments. And the best part is that the elements you need are probably already in your script. One movie that masters the art of setup and payoff brilliantly is Life is Beautiful. It was written by Vincenzo Cerami and Roberto Benigni, who also directed it and acted as the protagonist. Life is Beautiful is a film that has a special place in my heart. It is one of the cinematic experiences that brought me to screenwriting. Many people think that setup and payoff is simply something like Chekhov's gun, a principle stated by playwright and short story writer Anton Chekhov. It states the following: if in the first act you have hung a pistol on the wall, then in the following one it should be fired. Otherwise, don't put it there. It's a good thing to keep in mind, but that's only half the story. It's a starting point, but when you master setup and payoff, you don't just use story elements coherently, you make them blossom in a much more impactful way. This brings you closer to our ultimate goal as writers, to move the audience. Life is Beautiful has the unconventional structure of 2 acts instead of 3. The act break occurs exactly halfway in the movie. How did those writers manage to make the 2 parts feel like a single story? Let's dive into the structure. The entire first act is a love story. Guido, a Jewish librarian, meets the girl of his life.
Buongiorno, principessa!
Dora is an upper-class girl who's getting engaged to a rich, arrogant fascist man. It's a hyper-classical romance that culminates with Guido winning Dora's heart and starting a family with her. The second act is a tragedy, and it starts when Guido and their son, Josué, are captured and sent to a concentration camp. Throughout their imprisonment, Guido makes Josué believe the entire experience is an elaborate birthday gift. By using humor and imagination, incredibly, he manages to preserve Josué's innocence despite the horrors surrounding them. Notice how, within the 2 main acts, we still clearly have the Aristotelian 3-act structure. Part 1. At the beginning of the first act of this first part, Guido meets Dora and falls in love with her.
Buongiorno, principessa!
In the second act, Guido is trying to win Dora's heart. At the midpoint, they have a strange date. And then, in the third act, Guido finds out she's engaged to an arrogant fascist. So the climax is Guido breaking into the engagement party riding a green horse. The resolution happens with a crossfade that brings us to years later, when we meet their child, Josué, who loves playing with tanks. Part 2. The first act of Part 2 starts when Guido and Josué are captured and sent to a concentration camp. The inciting incident happens at their arrival to the camp. The act break is the iconic scene in which Guido translates the camp rules, making the whole interment sound like a game.
Comincia il gioco! Chi c'è? Chi non c'è?
Ihr seid nur aus einem einzigen Grund in dieses Lager transportiert worden.
Si vince a 1000 punti, il primo classificato vince un carro armato, vero?
The second act puts the protagonist's goal, preserving Josué's innocence and life, through tough tests, like the moment Josué wants to leave the game.
Josué, andiamo! Andiamo!
Ma piove, mi viene la febbre a 40.
At the midpoint, Guido is offered a job as a camp waiter and hopes to get help from the Nazi guard that he knew from before being captured. But Guido realizes that he is only interested in Guido's help to solve a difficult riddle.
Aiutami.
This absurdity is the low point, the moment in which there is no hope for the protagonist.
Amore del cielo, aiutami. Non riesco a dormire.
The scene that follows marks what is often known as the dark night of the soul. Guido gets lost while going back to his barrack and sees a mountain of human bodies. This vision represents the entire movie. Guido, our hero, faces the horrors of evil while holding his precious child who is facing backwards so he doesn't have to bear witness. The second act break brings us to the third act of this part. The war is culminating, with US troops coming to free the prisoners. Many are killed, and remarkably, even amidst the chaos, Guido manages to protect Josué's innocence. As if playing one last game, Guido tells Josué to hide, while he himself is murdered by the Nazis. In the resolution, as Josué exits his hiding place, an American soldier on a real tank rescues him, reuniting him with his mother.
Questo è il sacrificio che mio padre ha fatto.
Giosuè! Abbiamo vinto!
Now that we have a clear overview of the film structure, we can analyze and apply the technique of setup and payoff in action. We'll examine and implement the most meaningful actionable lessons. Setup and payoff number 1. Buongiorno, principessa. One of the clearest instances of setup and payoff in Life is Beautiful is Guido's recurring phrase, Buongiorno, principessa.
Buongiorno, principessa!
It starts almost as a spontaneous greeting from Guido to Dora. However, he repeats it each time he sees her. The phrase is echoed 8 times throughout the movie, becoming more and more meaningful.
Buongiorno, principessa! Buongiorno, principessa! Buongiorno, principessa! Buongiorno, principessa!
Buongiorno, principessa!
The first payoff happens when Guido discovers that Dora is at the hotel where he works as a waiter. He sends a cake to her table.
Buongiorno, principessa.
Come hai detto?
Buongiorno, principessa, la vedi qui sulla torta?
Note how the same setup is used as a phrase on the cake that pays off in a deeper meaning, shared exclusively between them. Dora learns that Guido is there. After children are killed in the gas chamber, Dora is left in pain, not knowing if Josué is still alive. However, Guido and Josué sneak into the camp office and broadcast a message to her.
Buongiorno, principessa! Stanotte t'ho sognata tutta la notte!
We just discovered 2 things. A setup can be repeated several times. A payoff needs to add a deeper and more emotional meaning to the setup. Action step. Edit your script to include setups and payoffs, each being more meaningful than the one before. Setup and payoff number 2. Maria, la chiave. We see this setup on 2 occasions, both when Guido notices a man yelling to his wife, Maria, to toss down the house key.
Maria! La chiave! Oh! Maria! La chiave! Oh, no!
Then, during their strange date, Dora tells Guido that she would only open her heart to the man who has the key, stating that only heaven knows where that key is. Guido suggests asking the Virgin Mary, Maria, for the key to her heart.
Maria! La chiave! È questa?
Setup and payoff number 3. The hat. Guido steals his roommate's boss's hat twice. During that same date with Dora, Dora asks the Virgin Mary for a dry hat for Guido.
Ah già, è facile. Maria, manda qualcuno che dia un cappello asciutto a questo mio amico.
Setup and payoff number 4. Dr. Lessing's Riddles.
Risolvi questo enigma cervellone nel tempo che ti dà la soluzione.
One of Guido's previous restaurant clients is a German doctor obsessed with riddles.
Sembra raffinato. Lo voglio risolvere subito.
The first payoff of the riddle setup builds off the payoffs we've already seen on the date, Little Miracles. During their night out, while Guido and Dora are debating when to eat a gelato, Guido sees the doctor approaching. He already knows the doctor will deliver an answer of in 7 minutes, so Guido uses this little miracle.
Maria! Manda qualcuno a dirci fra quanto tempo dobbiamo prendere questo gelato al cioccolato.
Fra 7 minuti.
We just learned that setups and payoffs can be combined, which works particularly well in comedy. After this first payoff, the setup of riddles is repeated, leaving Guido with a new riddle.
Se fai il mio nome, non ci sono più. Ci sono.
The payoff to this happens when Guido is in the concentration camp, where he sees Dr. Lessing during a prisoner health inspection. Guido tells him the answer of the riddle.
Il silenzio.
As a result, this payoff is much more meaningful than the previous one. Since there were friends outside the camp, Guido believes there may be hope.
Guido.
The last payoff is when Guido thinks he can get more aid from the doctor.
Ti devo parlare.
Tragically, Guido realizes he's actually only interested in solving another riddle.
Aiutami. Guido. Per l'amore del cielo. Aiutami. Non riesco a dormire.
See how powerful this is? The scene is filled with dramatic irony to show the absurdity of evil. Interestingly, the first riddle is, the bigger it is, the less you see it. And the answer is darkness.
L'oscurità.
The darkness in Dr. Lessing is so big he can't even see it. Setup and payoff number 5. Schopenhauer. Guido's roommate quotes Schopenhauer, saying that with willpower you can do anything.
Io sono ciò che voglio. E in questo momento voglio essere uno che dorme e mi stavo dicendo dormo, 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 mi sono addormentato.
Bene, poi semplice, puoi provare. Dormo, 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 dormo.
Guido employs this at the theater, willing Dora to look at him.
Voltati, principessa, voltati, voltati.
Then he uses this tactic sarcastically to make the nightstand walk towards them.
La volontà, voglio che il comodino venga, vieni.
The last instance is in the climax, when Josué is hiding inside a camp cabinet.
Vai via. Vai via, vai via, cane.
Notice how the shape of the cabinet resembles the nightstand. One might think this is something the production designer added, but it was actually suggested in the scene description of the original script. We just learned that an object or its visual likenesses can contribute to marking a payoff. Action step. Scan for your existing objects, shapes, color, sound effects that can become a payoff. If you can't find an elegant way to incorporate your elements, don't force it. Setup and payoff number 6. Offenbach. Guido and Dora separately go to the opera to watch Offenbach. Later, when Guido is waiting tables in the concentration camp, he delivers the same song to Dora. Setup and payoff number 7. Guido's walk. Before Guido is captured, he gets summoned by the fascists. Noticing Josué's worried look, he walks in a funny manner. The moment is highlighted by a specific musical cue. Later in the concentration camp, the situation and the corresponding sound repeat, as Guido is escorted by a Nazi guard about to get killed. Setup and payoff number 8. Not showering. On his birthday, Josué stomps his feet protesting a shower. Later, in the concentration camp, when elders and children are asked to shower, Josué's refusal to obey saves him from the gas chamber. This is the last scene before the main turning point of the movie, from a romantic comedy to a tragedy. The writers made sure to include several setups in a single scene. Not wanting to shower, Schopenhauer,
Venite, comodino, vieni, vieni, comodino.
and
Buongiorno, principessa!
screenwriter Vincenzo Cerami explains how he and Benigni went through a rigorous structuring process of all these elements.
E poi sono cose che si seminano, qui si dice, si mette una molla, si tira, questa molla scatterà più tardi, allora bisogna, cioè tutto un lavoro di costruzione molto particolare.
Now, let's put this into action. One way is to focus on powerful moments that you already have written. These will become your payoffs. Then revise your script for elements that can become the setup for these powerful moments. If you're having trouble, make a list of everything you have in the scene. Characters, objects, recurring dialogues. The setup you need might already be there. I'll leave you with this challenge. What are your favorite movies? Share examples of setups and payoff in the movies you love in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it. And if you want to become a professional screenwriter, make sure to subscribe to this channel. I'm Pietro Schito, go write something great.